Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
It's lights out and away we go.
Alberto's got away beautifully at the start of the great race.
Who's that got off?
Leclerc.
Charles Leclerc.
Welcome to Negative Camber, the Motorsport Show, brought to you by ProKarts Race Centre.
Far enough back, he's going to make the lunge down the inside.
The ultimate pit stop,
The safety car is coming in
fueling your passion for motorsport.
with an emotional moment that means everything.
All of the latest results, analysis, and interviews.
Roar the drivers on to the final lap of this race.
I'm Jamie Lemura, motorsport enthusiast, historian, and media presenter.
And I'm Lee Harrison, motorsport professional, Sprint Master Karts race driver, and Formula One alumni.
Welcome to Negative Camber, the Motorsport Show. We're sitting in the Tickford garage here, and we've got Declan Fraser, reigning Super 2 champion, and also Tickford Racing driver for this year in the Tradie Mustang. Mate, thank you for your time. Welcome to the show.
No, thanks for having me. Sometimes I forget that first stat after a while of driving main game, but yeah, it's pretty good to be back.
It must be pretty hard for you, I guess, knowing that Tickford's cut down to 2 cars next year. When you first found out about it, it must have been a pretty big kick in the guts, knowing that you finally made it in the main game, and now you're not so sure what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, damn, straight into the hard-hitting question straight away, hey? Bang, cop that. It is what it is. At the end of the day, they made a business decision, and at the moment, I'm just trying to figure out where that leaves me. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the background, and I'm sure that most people would understand, and I'm sort of just finding my feet, figuring out where I'm going to land. So whatever happens. I'm still 23 years old. I'm sure I've got plenty of years ahead of me in this sport, so I'm not stressed about it yet.
You've had probably been the privilege, really, of driving for 2 of the biggest teams in pit lane, like Triple Eight and then getting to Tickford. I mean, I suppose without giving too much intel away, do the teams differ a lot in terms of how they operate, or is,
I think every team is different in the way that they approach a weekend, the way that they go about their racing, and it's been pretty cool actually to see different contrasts. One team does one thing better, the other team does another thing better. So I think in that aspect it's pretty cool a lot of these guys actually up and down pit lane have been to so many teams, and they can take a bit from each team and put that in the new team that they're going to. But for me, I've sort of come from 2 of the best teams, so I can take that, and wherever I go, I can use that.
Yeah. How have you found season 23? Like, obviously being champion for Triple Eight, get a spot in the main game, and it's you think, yeah, great, this is really cool, and
it's cool, definitely. But I mean, like every other race car driver, you don't want to be running where I am, and that's the biggest thing. So we've had so many issues this year, just reliability and also the parity issues that everyone's facing up and down pit lane. So it's been a very, very big character building year, but at the end of the day, I'm super grateful that I'm even in this position, right? Like, it's been so much hard work from my family for so many years to get me to this point, and to have all the sponsors come through and help me and all that type of stuff. It's
You're going to have to leave.
good yourself. Yeah, it's like I said, it's just been so many hard years previous to this year, and to finally get the break in main game is good. See, I would have liked it to been a little bit better, but I've learned so much on all these new tracks that I haven't driven at in my whole life. So yeah, it's been a good year.
Have you found that one of the main challenges of the year with all the new tracks you've got to learn, that it's sort of probably attributed a little bit to your position in the championship?
Yeah, 100%. Like, you go to a new track and we don't have much time. You think it's because we're classed as, I guess, we are the top category in Australia, we're expected to be able to go out there and just learn it straight away. And I mean, we all can all get to a certain point, and I haven't been too far off, which is the thing. Like, you look at the times and it's actually so close. So between first and the back of the pack is like 8-10. So you find a 10th and you move up 6 spots. So it's really not, when you look at it like that, it's actually been a pretty good year for learning and actually figuring out which way the tracks actually go. But yeah, it's definitely been probably one of the biggest factors, I reckon.
What have been some of the sort of the key challenges? I mean, you touched on things like reliability and parity, and we'd spoken to Todd Hazelwood, he's a good friend of ours, and he's been quite open about some of the challenges he faced as well. I mean, for you, was it more just adjusting to getting speed out of the car? Was it engine, gearbox?
guess it was a lot of things. It was started off at the start of the year, we had throttle body issues, and we changed that around, and we're at the point now where it sort of went away from the motors and started focusing on the aero because we were so deficient in that area, and it took all year for it to get right. So we've only found that at Gold Coast it felt better, and obviously Adelaide there's a fair few Fords up in the 10, so it's good to see that we're edging closer to that. But I think the next thing for us is as a Ford category, Ford team base, we just need that little bit of more motor, which is what we're struggling with. Like our speed traps just seem to be down a fair bit. So I think once they get that all sorted, obviously they're going over to America to go do all this wind tunnel testing, which will be massive. So they're actually going back over with what we started the season at, so that they can just start a whole fresh and just throw as much different changes at it as they can, just to see what's going to work the best and get basically the parity across both cars.
Without getting too controversial, I mean, when you hear about all the changes and all the stuff they had to do on the aero side, and from an outsider looking in, you kind of sort of ask yourself and think, why the hell did they not actually do this last year? Like, what were they doing? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess everything costs money, right? Going over to America and sending so many cars, so much resources, it's a lot. But I mean, like I said, it's been a whole year now, and just also had a lot of years in development before it actually hit the streets. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, supercars are trying their hardest, which we can all appreciate, and hopefully this wind tunnel sorts it basically all out, and we can just leave parity as a thing in the past and get on and start racing, because that's what we all want to do.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I can't. If I hear the word parity again, it just roll my eyes. But
yeah, exactly. No, exactly the same over here.
Yeah. Have you got plans for next year? Is anything sort of in the pipeline at all?
At the moment, like, it's more just trying to figure out this weekend, get through the weekend, and then nothing. You know what motorsport's like. It could be a 12th-hour type of thing. So I don't know. Like, at the moment, I'm still contracted to Tickford and under the Tickford banner, and whatever happens over the off break happens, and see where my feet land next year.
Yeah. Let's go back and wind the clock back a bit. Obviously, you touched on before about your previous motorsport career. I mean, where did it all start for you?
Yeah. So my mum's sitting right next to me, and she was a nervous parent back in go-karts all those years ago when I started about 7 years old. So it's been a massive journey for us as a whole family, my mum and dad. My mum didn't really come to most of the races because she was too scared to watch her little boy running around there, but my dad and I used to travel around in a go-kart trailer all the time in the ute and just do as much racing as we could, and sort of went up through the ranks, went up over to Vegas and competed in the Las Vegas Supernats, basically like the world titles, I guess, over there, and had some pretty good runs, and then from there went 86s, all the standard stuff, 86s, and it was right in that period when I wanted to move up out of 86s when COVID hit. So I was in two minds. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I was sort of just sitting there with dad and mum and my sister around a table going, what's next? And I decided to go TCR just to try it out. We went over to TCR in Malaysia with a customer team over there, and Angstler Motorsport, and done pretty well. We were sitting third, and then I blew the tyre off in the last lap and ended up crawling across the line in fourth. So it would have been nice to get a podium on an international stage in my first one, but we came back to Australia, sitting on the grid for the AGP, and that's when everything went into lockdown. So we were actually in the car rolling out, and we're sitting there going, what's going on? We're on the radio saying, hey, what's going on? And then they're like, all right, boys, out the car, you got to go home. So it was honestly one of the weirdest things. And then it was 3 months of limbo. I sat there going, all right, when can I go racing? It was more of it wasn't really what can I race, it was what is racing. Like TCR basically shut doors and said we can't race at all, and Supercars said we can race behind closed doors. So that's what led me down the path of Super 3. So I always wanted to go Supercars, and I've always said that I've never actually wanted to get into Supercars. I've wanted to win a championship in Supercars, and that still doesn't change. Like, I've never wanted to be a seat filler, and then the opportunity opened up to go down that supercar path, and I took it straight away, because previous to that there just wasn't any spots open, which is why we went the TCR route. So they came open, Super 3, Super 2, won the championship last year, and now we're here. So yeah.
A huge thank you goes out to our podium partner Procast Race Centre and our incredible sponsors. Your partnership allows us to continue bringing you this show and dive deeper into the world of motorsports. If your business adds value to the motorsport community, get in touch with us to become a Negative Camber partner.
Time to discover more than just a track. It's time to find your racing family at Procast Race Centre. We're more than a racing facility. We're a community of enthusiasts bound by our shared love for motorsport. What sets us apart? Our commitment to inclusivity. We're breaking barriers, welcoming rookies and pros alike to experience the thrill of racing. With our low investment pathways into karting, we're paving the way for the next generation of racers. Whether you're a seasoned racer seeking camaraderie or a beginner eager to learn, Pro-Karts Race Centre is your home. Join our vibrant community, feel the passion and share the rush of victory with friends who share your passion. Visit prokartsracecentre.com.au or pop in for a chat at 30 Research Road, Paraka. Pro-Karts Race Centre, fueling your passion, igniting your potential.
Could you see yourself going back into TCR here in Australia just to get some mileage?
It just doesn't have any relevance to what I'm trying to achieve, I don't think. Like, it's a great category which looks like it's really growing, and with the support of Super Cheap Auto, like, they're putting a lot of dollars into promoting the sport and trying to get it off the ground, which they're doing, and it's really good to see now. But I guess the biggest thing for me is my sole focus is supercar and their rear-wheel drive, massive horsepower. Like, they're a beast to drive, you know? So probably just doesn't have the relevance that I want to do. I just got to look at what does, or if I'm in main game, or whatever happens, I don't know. So we'll, see what happens.
Give us some insight into, say, Bathurst this year. I mean, there was all that parity debate we were talking about before, and then you had that nice big shunt going across the top.
Yeah,
and that would have affected you mentally too, I'd imagine. How did you sort of recover from that?
Yeah, it was difficult. I think probably shouldn't say this on a podcast. Might get myself in trouble, but I basically had to lie my way through the medical just to get back on track. I actually had any blood taste in my mouth, and I had blood in my mouth and everything. I was not very well. I had a bit of bone bruising on my left arm, and got back out there and just sort of got back on the horse straight away. So it's a bit of a shame. The next session we had a steering rack problem, and it just didn't work at all. So I missed the whole next session. So then that put me a little bit more of less confidence going into again the next day. So we got through it. Car was a little bit battered and bruised, as it would be trying to repair a car at the track. But it was just good to sort of get through the weekend, and Tyler done a great job, and we're plugging away pretty nice there. Just a couple of unfortunate pit stops and a couple of penalties was what's ultimately didn't get us up where we needed to be.
Talk about, like, after having a shunt like that, you've got all these things wrong with you, bones bruised, all the rest of it. How do you pull yourself together and mentally jump back in the car when really you're probably struggling to take a breath?
Yeah, it is quite hard. The biggest thing is just getting back out there. Like, you try not to think about it. I work with a sports psychologist a lot, so trying to rewire your brain to not even think about that. Like, it's the hardest thing. It's like human nature. We could do 100 things wrong, but we do 100 things right, and we do one thing wrong, and we focus on the one negative. So it's trying to rewire your brain to think about all the times that you've gone through that corner and you successfully made it, which I'd done a whole 1,000 last year. So it was a challenge, but you sort of just take a couple of Nurofen for the pain and get on with it.
What were the big differences between your Super 2 car and that sort of generation spec of car, and then obviously this year's car? Did you have to really change your driving style to suit, or? It's
so weird because I went from my Super 2 car, I got into the main game of last year, the COF car, and the grip difference was massive, and I was like, holy, like, this thing's so good. I nearly didn't want to go back to my Super 2 car because it didn't have as much grip as that thing. And then I get the opportunity to go to main game this year, it's got even less grip than my Super 2 car. So it was it's been a mental, I guess, challenge adapting to all three cars in such a short period of time. But the Super 3 is so different to everything else that you sort of got to change everything. So it's not, you can take some of the traits around. At the end of the day, it's still a supercar, still has similar brakes and suspension package, but there's so much different about it that you sort of just don't think about all the other stuff. But my Super 2 car, man, I love that thing. That thing was just one of the nicest cars I think I've ever driven in my life. So I miss that thing. It's all sticking back up in SVG's livery that he ran in it. The real dark blue, purple Red Bull livery that they ran. And I think it's in like this glass box in a shed somewhere. It literally looks like a Matchbox car because it's like these like glass boxes with cars in them, but they're real life cars. So,
it's cool. With the driving with Craig Lowndes last year, how much did you learn? How much could you absorb everything that he told you or taught you? I guess.
Yeah, he still teaches me stuff now, so it was really good. Craig and I have a really good relationship, which is good, and that's continued on this year. But last year was just a whirlwind. Like, the biggest thing about Bathurst is not the race itself. Like, you got to perform in the race, but it's being able to stay mentally sharp all the way up until the race. So there's so much stuff prior that people probably don't see that we have to go through. Like, we get there on the Monday, and we're there all the way until the next Monday, basically. But we start as soon as we land, we're off the plane, straight into media appearances, and I guess Craig was just really good at teaching me how to manage all of that and not wear myself out in the recovery. And Lara was cooking food for us in the caravan and stuff like that. So I guess that side of thing was probably the biggest thing I learned from him. On track, like everyone knows, the man can drive. So it's really nice to be able to learn off of someone like that. We actually had very similar techniques in the way that we drove, which was good because when you're trying to co-drive with someone, you want the car to be set up the same and you want the same feeling. So it's really nice that both our asses felt the same thing. So it was make the weekend a whole lot easier.
Yeah. But in regards to, I guess, with moving forward, obviously TCR, V8 Supercars, are you is it the plum drive that you're looking at moving forward, like a seat that's going to give you an opportunity to win, or do you want to just sort of get yourself back into the game and then make a statement?
Staying in the game is massively important. Like, you don't want to become irrelevant in this sport. As soon as you have one thing, everyone tends to write you off pretty quickly. Like, people forget that I won a championship last year and they just think I'm a backmarker now. So trying to drag yourself out of something like that's quite hard, but I just want to stay relevant, make sure I'm in a seat in some capacity, no matter what it is. I just want to be driving, keep relevant, and like I said, my ultimate goal is to win a championship. And I know it's a little bit ambitious, but I gave myself 3 years entering the category. So this is year 1. Next year still counts as year 2. So 2025, I need to win a championship.
Yeah. Have you got like heroes or like guys that you looked up to, girls even in the racing world, like be Formula One or?
Anton Senna was a big one.
Oh,
yeah. So I know a lot of people probably have the same thing. Anton Senna, Mick Schumacher, and Craig Lowndes. So I was more of a Lowndesy fan than I was of anyone else. So and we got to recreate a pretty cool photo back in the day of me at Better Electrical when I was, I think, 5 or 6 years old, and then we got to recreate on the Bathurst grid. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, Anton Senna was probably the biggest one that I used to watch that movie when it first came out when I was just starting my junior career. I think I watched that at least twice a week. Just the mentality, the way that he went about his racing, and just the guy that he was. So.
I was old enough and fortunate enough to actually see him race in the flesh.
Oh, nice.
So my first experience of Formula One was here in '92.
Yeah.
So and it was a school excursion. So like the kids come on Thursdays here on Friday.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget standing on back then it was the exit of Jones Street onto Brabham.
Yep.
And you see Nigel Mansell coming through in the Williams.
Yep.
And then you hear the Honda just coming, and he literally from the first lap he's come out of Jones Street onto Brabham, and he's just on the river.
Yeah.
And it was just, I'll never forget it. Like, it's just stuck with me ever since. And then it was just another level, and that was my hero.
Yep.
You know, I remember watching him as a kid on TV in Adelaide in '85 in the JPS Lotus. So I'm sure I'm my age now, but I get it. And the thing is, he's one of those rare drivers that's just generational. I mean, people of your age probably never got to see him race live.
I'm very jealous hearing this story. Yeah. So.
But mate, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Just even in his last win here in '93, you're sitting at the bottom of Bradman GA, and he's just better under brakes, just wringing the neck out of it.
Yeah.
It's next level. So yeah, I can understand why you're inspired.
Definitely someone to look up to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you follow much motorsport outside of V8s? Like, do you pay an interest on, say, F1, for example?
I probably spend too much time watching motorsports. I normally sit on the couch every weekend watching any form of motorsport, but I like the F1. Probably not as dedicated as some fans are, waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I might watch a replay here and there, but the F1 Vegas one was actually really good. I was a bit surprised. It didn't look like a track that would be that good for racing, but it probably produced some of the best racing of the whole season. So love watching that stuff. Obviously watch a bit of TCR and Trans Am and all that type of stuff, and still look at all the support categories here on the weekend with the Super 2.
The guy next to me here had a massive role in running the Miami Grand Prix last year. So
really,
yeah. So
massive role.
Oh, far
Yeah, so I was heavily in the sporting side, so all the timings and everything with the practice sessions and all the stuff that's in front of the first line of protection. So I was over there for 3 months and lived and breathed it. So it was pretty killer.
There's actually a funny video clip that's popped up where Lee's in the golf cart after the race, and he's got Max Verstappen's mum, Kelly PK, and some other person in the back, and he's whizzing through to get them to the podium. And you hear one of the guys, someone in the background is like, he's driving like Max. It's just chaos. But it's just next level. So, but ironically,
that's insane.
As we touched on it, Miami and Vegas, the two people that set up those Grand Prix didn't actually really help each other. Vegas wanted to do their own thing.
Completely independent. They didn't even want any help from anyone, really. So the only thing I think was bad about the Vegas Grand Prix is I understand they wanted to have the lights to light up the whole track, but from what I could see, there were a lot of fans that were pretty angry about the lights actually blocking all their views. And over there, it's like $6,000 for a ticket for some spots, and it's just absolutely astronomical. And it sort of ruins the whole point of being able to go racing and put on a show, right? Like, I get they spend a lot of money to invest and to make the sport what it is, but really, if you bring back some of the theatrics and cut a little bit of costs and give the people a bit more to do at the track, it probably would help our sport and grow it a bit more. I think something like Drive to Survive for V8 Supercars would go a massively long way for promoting our category.
Mate, I think you're getting the time out. It's been, we'll leave you to it because I know you're busy and appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure. Sincerely, best of luck. Hopefully year 2 your 3-year plan does bear fruit. And we're sitting here talking to you another time, and you're back and going for the championship winner. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You've reached the checkered flag of another episode of Negative Camber the Motorsport Show, proudly brought to you by ProKarts Race Centre. A huge thank you to you, our incredible listeners. Your support and passion for motorsports fuels our enthusiasm to bring you the latest results, analysis, and interviews from the racing world. Keep that FOMO at bay by subscribing to Negative Camber on your favourite podcast platform. We'd also love it if you could leave us a review and share the show with your fellow racing enthusiasts. Your feedback and support mean the world to us. Remember, Negative Camber is more than just a podcast. We're a community of dedicated fans who live and breathe motorsports. Follow us on socials, join us on our website, negativecamber.co, and be sure to subscribe to the Negative Camber Club for access to exclusive content, episode previews, and special deals from our amazing partners. Until next time, stay fueled with passion, embrace the Negative Camber, and keep chasing those podium finishes.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.